Hello and welcome. Tonight, a federal high court declares illegal Rivers State 2024 budget passed by 4 members of the State House of Assembly and signed into law by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Another court orders parties in the crisis to maintain status quo. As rescue operations are rounded off at the site of last week's deadly explosion in Ibadan, Oyo State, the Nigeria Society of Engineers and other experts begin integrity assessment of the surrounding buildings. The passport application automation process for Nigerians and non-Nigerians has come to stay, declares the Controller General of Immigration, Wuraola Adebayo. And Cameroon launches a vaccine program against malaria, becoming the first country in the world to do so.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's stock market benchmark index crosses 95,000 points as market capitalization hits 52 trillion naira for the first time ever.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles of Nigeria advanced to the round of 16 at the 2023 African Cup of Nations following a 1-0 win over Guinea-Bissau in their final Group A clash.
From Abuja, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, vows more stringent laws as penalty for criminals, assures residents security operatives will secure the nation's capital.
The judiciary takes center stage, and we begin in the nation's capital, where a federal high court presided over by Justice James Omotosho today nullified the 800 billion naira budget signed into law by the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara late last year. Justice Omotosho also upheld the suit filed by the Rivers House of Assembly and Speaker Martin Amewule against Governor Fubara, which sought an order of injunction restraining the governor from frustrating the Assembly under his leadership as Speaker, among other matters. Our judiciary correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
On December 13th last year, the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, sent the 2024 budget to the State House of Assembly for approval, following a decamping of some members to the APC from the PDP and a state high court ruling recognizing about 5 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. They had a session presided over by Honorable Edison Ehe. During that sitting, they passed the state's 2024 budget. The document was then passed to the governor, who assented to the 2024 budget. The Federal High Court in Abuja, and presided over by Justice James Omotosho, has now nullified the said budget of 800 billion naira. While nullifying the budget, Justice Omotosho also declared that the governor or members of staff of the Rivers State Public Service are not entitled to take steps aimed at interfering with the affairs of the Rivers State House of Assembly in the performance of their duties. The judge prohibited the governor from withholding funds due to state lawmakers and issued a restraint against the National Assembly, preventing them from considering any request from the governor. Justice Omotosho noted that Ehe, who claimed to have resigned from the Rivers State Assembly, lacked legal standing in the case as he was no longer the speaker or a member. The judge also found it perplexing that the governor destroyed the assembly building and presented the budget to only 4 lawmakers, declaring the presentation as void. An order was granted to halt the demolition, and all actions of the governor with the lawmakers were declared null and void.
The court equally stated clearly that all acts done by the governor, the 11 defendants, the Attorney General and Rivers State government, while this suit was pending, and after he had made an order on the 30th day of November 2023, were a nullity, including proceedings wherein the governor had purported to have presented to 4 members of the House, led by Edison, Honorable Edison, appropriation bill.
The ruling of the Federal High Court in Abuja has drawn reactions from some stakeholders in Rivers State.
The arguments adduced by the Federal High Court judge are sound law. But I'm almost going to advocate that common sense should be included as one of the sources of law.
The good thing about the judgment is that this is the court of first instance. Because it's court of first instance, the Rivers State governor have right of appeal. But coming home, I felt that when a peace process is in place, that all parties should pursue that peace to a logical conclusion.
Meanwhile, another resident of Rivers State sees the lawsuit as a betrayal of the ongoing peace agreement.
Part of the process, the governor started it. The governor has also the right to represent destiny here. Part of the sacrifice for peace has been done all these cases, and went further to resign as member of the Rivers House of Assembly. That has shown that the governor wants peace. So for us, I don't know what is really happening. I was thinking that they should also withdraw their matter in court.
What is left to be seen is if the Rivers State government will appeal the judgment. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik, also of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered all the parties in the Rivers State Assembly crisis to maintain status quo. In her ruling, Justice Abdul-Malik directed the parties not to take further steps pending the determination of an application that is seeking to stop Governor Siminalayi Fubara from representing the 2024 budget of the state before the Legislative House. Justice Abdul-Malik fixed February the 28th to hear the application, which was brought before the court by 6 elders of the state. The plaintiffs in the matter, led by a member of the River State House of Assembly representing Bonny State Constituency, Honorable Victor Oko-Jumbo, are Senator Bennett Birabi, Senator Andrew Uchendu, Rear Admiral Ochegomere Fingesi, Ankyo Briggs, and Emmanuel Denma. They had approached the court through their lawyer, Olukayode Ajulo, praying it to declare vacant the seats of 27 lawmakers in the state who defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Staying with the judiciary, this time here in Lagos, where the trial of the principal and some staff members of Christian School of Okpebi, Lagos, resumed today at the Lagos High Court in Ikeja, with the testimony of the father of Whitney Adeniran, a 12-year-old student of the school who died on February the 9th during the school's inter-house sports activities held at the Agege Stadium. Now, the father, Mr. Adeyemi Adeniran, began his testimony in May of 2023 when he was led in evidence by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Babajide Martins. But today he answered questions on the cross-examination from counsel to the school, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Bolaji Ayorinde. Mr. Adeniran told the trial judge, Justice Oyindamola Ogala, that he was informed by the school nurse that his daughter died at the Agege Stadium before she was taken to the hospital. In answering to the questions from the school's lawyer, the witness also said that he was not aware if a procedure known as CPR was administered on his daughter at the stadium. Neither could he confirm if oxygen was administered on her at the hospital. He, however, remembered that he was informed by the hospital, Agege Central Hospital and Diagnostic Limited, that his daughter suffered cardiac arrest on the day of the incident. The state government had charged Christian School Okpebi, its principal, Belinda Amo, vice principal, Victoria Nwatu, one Kuku Fatai, and a cotton candy vendor at the stadium, Ademoye Adewale, for the death of the student, but they have pleaded not guilty to the charges. So listening to his testimony, Justice Ogala adjourned further hearing till Wednesday, January the 24th. Away from the courts, in the aftermath of the Supreme Court judgment which affirmed the election of Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 governorship election, Isa Ashiru, has been reacting and says that justice was not served in the Apex Court's verdict. Addressing a news conference at his campaign office in the Kaduna State capital, the PDP governorship candidate said he and his supporters remain united as they strategize for future elections.
I met with stakeholders and told them to remain law-abiding and let us continue. We are in politics not for ourselves, but to better our state, given the opportunity. Now that this has happened, we will not be deterred. We still have by-election ahead of us on the 3rd, and we'll urge all our supporters to come out and vote peacefully. Ours is about peaceful coexistence and no more. PDP is still on ground. We have not lost the election, but what came, we have accepted it in good faith. As far as I'm concerned, I have not lost the election. The good people of Okonjo voted me, and we had hiccup along the road. That's why we took the judicial process to make sure that we get our mandate back. But as God will have it, God has done his own way, and I accepted it in good faith. In politics, whosoever told you that it is done, that one is too selfish. I'm in politics not about myself, but about the good people of Kaduna State.
29 persons are said to have been kidnapped after some suspected bandits attacked Tashar Nagule village in Batsari local government area of Katsina State. An eyewitness told Channels Television on telephone that the hoodlums, numbering over 60, were dressed in army uniforms and armed with weapons, including AK-47 rifles, and invaded the village at about 10 p.m. on Sunday and chased the residents. He adds that the bandits opened fire twice and started chasing the residents up to their houses and asking the residents to stop, telling them that they are security personnel who came to assist them. Confirming the incident to Channels Television, the Katsina Police Command spokesman Abubakar Sadiq notes that normalcy has already been restored in the affected area. According to him, efforts are in top gear to rescue the kidnapped victims unhurt, as the State Commissioner of Police, Aliyu Musa, has deployed the command's operational assets to ensure the success of the rescue mission. The Controller General of Immigration, Wuraola Adebayo, says the automation process deployed to ease the application and issuance of international passport for Nigerians and non-Nigerians has come to stay. The NIS boss stated this at the passport office in Ikoyi, Lagos, while briefing journalists after visiting the office to see the level of efficiency deployed in the issuance of international passport to applicants.
The only thing that we have introduced here, and the purpose is to further ease the application process, is the uploading of the breeder document. That is the supporting document for our passport application. And the objectives of this are many. Number one is to reduce human interference, which has been a source of complaints from applicants who have experienced extortion by persons during applications. Then also, we want to ease the passport application process without compromising national security. 3, we want to have a harmonized database of our applicants and for the use of the nation. And 4, we are modernizing the entire passport application process. When the passport application process is fully automated, applicants will need to come to the passport office only once, or adults only once in their lifetime. Once you come and we take your biometrics, subsequent application for renewal, you will not need to come again because we have a strong and robust database.
In part 2, after the break, 24 hours after the Mandelas building in Lagos Island went up in flames, a smoldering fire is still noticeable on the 15-story structure. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you are watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. A federal high court declares illegal Rivers State 2024 budget passed by 4 members of the State House of Assembly and signed into law by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Another court orders parties in the crisis to maintain status quo. As rescue operations are rounded off at the site of last week's deadly explosion in Ibadan, Oyo State, the Nigeria Society of Engineers and other experts begin integrity assessment of the surrounding buildings. The passport application automation process for Nigerians and non-Nigerians has come to stay, declares the Controller General of Immigration, Wuraola Adebayo. And Cameroon launches a vaccine program against malaria, becoming the first country in the world to do so. Rescue operations have ended at the Ibadan explosion site, with debris left in the aftermath of the blast also cleared. The Nigeria Society of Engineers, geologists and members of the Nigeria Nuclear Regulatory Authority are also working to assess and ascertain the integrity of the affected buildings. Our correspondent, Bukola Orewo, reports.
Engineers from the Nigeria Society of Engineers getting their brief before setting out for the task ahead.
And one person with a camera and all the other things. Please, let's do that. And then
Government's mandate has been increased from 250-meter radius to 500, and all affected houses in this catchment area must be assessed.
the explosion has had an adverse effect on a lot of houses, and so it is necessary to check these houses before we can assessing it to be sure that people can actually go in to see if they can bring out their things and probably start doing repairs. It's just for safety.
Structural engineers involved in the project say the impact is massive and affected areas must be critically examined.
Most of the buildings where we have checked will have some degree of structural defect, some depending on the severity, and then mostly the roofs have been ripped off, and that has also impacted on the finishes, the roofing, ceiling, and all that.
The incident manager says search and rescue is over now, and now at the recovery stage.
We await the decision of the government of Oyo State regarding these structures that are very unstable that are around, either to pull them down with the permission of the owners of such structures.
The first phase of this disaster has just been concluded. The debris have been removed from this area, from the immediate center where the disaster took place. Other areas surrounding this place are still currently being assessed. What will happen to them, we will know in the course of events in the days ahead. Meanwhile, engineers are on site to assess every area affected in 500-meter radius of this place. We'll get this result in the days ahead as we monitor events unfolding on this developing story. From Bodija, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Bukola Orewo, Channels Television News.
From Oyo State now to Lagos, where the fire that engulfed the Mandela's building on Broad Street is yet to be completely put out after 24 hours. Eyewitnesses, as well as those who lost goods, told Channels Television off camera that the incident could have been avoided if those managing the building had put measures in place to prevent such an occurrence.
Residents, traders and others are still trying to come to terms with what had happened to this structure of over 70 years. Situated on Broad Street in Lagos, as they observe how the fire disaster is unfolding. An inferno, which started on the first floor at about 12 noon on Sunday, was said to have spread to the 7th floor, destroying all valuables on its path. All attempts to have many occupants who lost properties and eyewitnesses alike to speak on camera was unsuccessful, until we caught up with this legal practitioner who tells her own side of the story, claiming to have lost valuables.
My office was burning at the 7th floor and burnt down to ashes. I couldn't rescue a pin out of it. This is the office complex, my own office that housed 6 lawyers plus my supporting staffs. A lot of gadgets there, a lot of files, a whole lot of things that I kept in my office to make it comfortable as a lady that I am. Everything burnt down to ashes.
She expresses disappointment with the authorities and called on the government to do better with the management of buildings in the country.
The government would have regulated buildings. They would have put some structures on grounds. There would have been rules and regulations that you shouldn't build here. Vehicles should have been able to pass through the back. But most government officials, I am sorry with due respect to whoever is involved, are not doing whatever they are supposed to do.
Although no life was lost, The Mandela's building in Feno is one of many fire disasters which has happened within the same facility in Lagos Island. It is hoped that a proper investigation is carried out to uncover the root cause of the fire and prevent future occurrence.
Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Markwe Ogun-Yusuf is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Markwe.
Hello, Ayo. Well, it's a little less tragic here. Looks like there's a ray of hope here, as the president has directed the management of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, to expand its focus area by extending interest-free loans to Nigerian students interested in skill development programs. President Bola Tinubu gave this directive at the State House after a briefing from the Executive Secretary of the fund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, on the build-up to the launch of the program later in the month. According to the president, it is important for the scheme to accommodate those who may not want to pursue a university education, noting that skill acquisition is as important as obtaining undergraduate and graduate academic qualifications. Meanwhile, in another meeting, this time with the delegation of the Christian Association of Nigeria, the president said that his administration will not relent in addressing corruption and other vices because it is a sacred duty to ensure that the country is set right for the prosperity of all Nigerians. He also pointed out to the delegation, led by CAN President Archbishop Daniel Oko, the role of faith leaders in fostering unity and peace in the country. President Tinubu called on Christian leaders to support the administration's ongoing fight against corruption by encouraging Nigerians to have a change of mindset on money-related matters. And staying in the FCT, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says more stringent laws will be put in place as penalty for criminals, especially those involved in attacks on residents in the FCT. The minister is also appealing to residents of the FCT to desist from talking down on the efforts of security operatives, maintaining that they are working to secure the nation's capital and bring criminals to book. The minister was speaking at a media chat to journalists here in Abuja. Our correspondent Kumbi Abuluwade reports.
Look, this phone.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory is hosting this media chat amidst reports of insecurity in the nation's capital.
Let me first of all comment.
Straight away, the conversation highlights the insecurity in Abuja, and the minister explains what his administration is doing to tackle the situation.
We were able to encourage the area councils to have vigilante groups to be able to give security agencies information. And like I said, it is not everything you have to reveal. But what we are trying to do now is, which we did not do in December, but which, by the grace of God, by this February, we think we are going to achieve that. We are not going to allow vehicles that are not with FCT color, which is being registered by the FCT, to apply commercially.
Would that apply to Uber and Bolt?
Uber will have to be registered too. It has to. Who are these drivers? We need to certify them. We need to profile them by the security agencies.
One option that is being looked at is the introduction of more stringent laws for persons arrested for different crimes.
As FCT is concerned, for example, we have a lot of criminals where you talk about this solar light, for example, and they're being arrested. What's the punishment? What's the sanction? 30,000 naira. That is the offense. You pay 30,000 naira. Obviously. Even if you are arrested and the court tells you to pay 30,000 naira, it is easy to pay 30,000 naira and go back to commit the same offense.
You want stiffer penalty?
What I'm trying to say, legislation should be put in place where it will no longer be easy.
Mr. Wike also explains his relationship with the senator representing the FCT, Senator Ireti Kingibe.
The senator says you are not reachable, so you can't communicate with you.
What is he reaching me for? Listen, you know, when people say carry along, carry it to where? I don't look. I was appointed before I was sworn in Mr. President has given portfolios before we are sworn in on the 21st. She had written me a letter. She wants to see me in the letter. I don't even know about the FCT. I've not gone there. I don't even know where my office is. Not to talk about knowing the departments and the roles of the place. So if I see you, what am I going to tell you?
The FCT minister believes the security agencies are doing their best to secure the nation's capital, and he makes an appeal to the FCT residents to abstain from talking down their efforts. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's stock market benchmark index crosses 95,000 points as market capitalization hits 52 trillion naira for the first time ever. But that's some business news. Do join us again. Welcome back. Well, we're talking bilateral matters now. Nigeria and India have signed a memorandum of understanding on renewable energy to reduce the nation's dependence on traditional sources of energy. The agreement was signed at the 6th Joint Commission meeting in Abuja by Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, and India's Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Subramanyam Jaishankar. And looking at the economy now, this is certainly not the best of times for Nigeria's healthcare system, as the nation's local syringe manufacturing industry is struggling to cope with a myriad of challenges. According to industry players, the lack of sufficient government support and investment has hindered the development of the local syringe manufacturing industry. They add that while Nigeria has the potential to produce its syringes, the absence of a favorable policy, even with a significant demand for syringes in Nigeria, given the country's large population of over 250 million people, makes Nigeria rely on imported syringes from countries like China and India. A statement by Kemi Olawoye on behalf of Medical Device Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, MEDMAN, explains that the Nigerian healthcare system has always previously relied on locally produced medical supplies, including syringes. But as things stand today, several factors have led to manufacturers pulling out or scaling down production. The companies include Jubilee Syringe Manufacturing in Akwa Ibom State, Zarinjet in Zaria, Kaduna State, First Medicals and Fair Hygienic in Calabar, Cross River State, and Pan-Africa Foundation in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Medman says the current dependence on imported syringes not only strains the country's economy, but also leaves Nigeria vulnerable during times of crisis, such as disease outbreaks or emergencies. The body adds that the crisis faced by the local syringe industry necessitates immediate attention from the Nigerian government and relevant stakeholders. While calling for increased investment in the manufacturing sector, Medman believes that the development of supportive policies and initiatives to promote local production would not only strengthen the economy, but also ensure the availability of critical medical supplies, guaranteeing effective healthcare delivery to all Nigerians. And that's it from our Abuja studios. It's back now to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Markwe. As part of the steps towards empowering the next generation of thinkers, builders, and problem solvers, the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy has flagged off a 4-day Build-a-thon information communication technology training for selected senior secondary school students. 500 students across the 3 senatorial districts of Ogun State are currently participating in the introductory training, while another 1,000 participants are also being engaged in Imo and Borno states. Build-a-thon is an ecosystem offering various learning opportunities, including DIY or do-it-yourself boxes, technology labs, and workshops to enhance student skills.
The 4-day program is designed by the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy and its development partners, Raspberry PI Foundation, and the Nigerian Communications Commission, dedicated to growth and development of the nation's digital economy. The program is to develop participants' cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, as well as instill and stimulate their interest in information, communication technology towards solving day-to-day challenges. 500 selected participants in this hall are drawn from public senior secondary schools across the 3 senatorial districts in Ogun State. They are being tutored to promote critical thinking and teamwork among students through dynamic technology collaboration.
Through the Buildathon initiative, we will empower the younger generation with the skills and confidence and the toolkits necessary to become builders of solutions for the social challenges we face every day in our nation.
It is the skills that you have learned that will set you apart as you grow into the future.
The Ogun State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Aribagu, who declared the event open, thanked the minister for the choice of the program in the Southwest, as he admonished the students to make good use of the opportunity being offered them.
This type of program is an opportunity for you to explore, to just try out your hands on a number of things, opening you up into how you can use your knowledge, you can use your curiosity, you can use your, whatever capabilities God has given you.
Speaking to journalists after the program, the special advisor to the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, explained the importance of raising a more technologically aware generation of Nigerians.
At the end of Buildathon, we want the kids to have been, introduced to technology that they're not used to. We want them to have also worked with teams across the different schools so that we can sort of encourage teamwork in children. We want them to also be confident.
After the 4-day program, outstanding teams in different locations and categories are expected to be recognized, including the most innovative design, the most sustainable project, and an award for the project with the most utility.
It's now time for business news with Will Ibong.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Ayo, and welcome to Business News. Now, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform says it is meeting with state governors in order to reach an agreement for states to suspend some low-revenue taxes. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, who made this known to journalists, says the move would lead to the suspension of nuisance taxes by states and local government authorities across the country that are not adding value to the government coffers. He explained that, among other things, the panel is expected to champion tax reforms and help the nation to raise the much-needed tax revenue to enhance economic growth and development. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says it plans to use the $3.3 billion emergency crude repayment loan obtained from the African Export-Import Bank in August last year to meet its operational needs and pay upfront tax and royalties accruable to Nigeria. According to the state oil company, the loan will also be used to stabilize the foreign exchange market by increasing the foreign reserve. Now to the equities markets, where the NGX All-Share Index has crossed yet another milestone. The NGX ASI, which opened the year at 74,000 points, has showcased an outstanding performance as the index crossed 95,000 points today, securing its position as the world's best-performing stock market in the first 3 weeks of 2024. With a remarkable year-to-date return of 28.08%, the NGX has outshone its global counterparts. The impressive feat comes as the market capitalization of Dangote Cement hit 10 trillion naira at the close of trading today, becoming the first listed company to achieve this milestone on the NGX. Inijomekwa breaks it further down for us.
Thank you so much, Will. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. It's the 4th week in the year, and the NGX is still on fire. Today, the market gained 673 billion naira. I think one of these days we're going to report a trillion naira. And it went up to 95,768.12. That's a 1.30% gain on the all-share index. The market cap is now at 52.408 trillion naira. Market is moving fast. Now, when we see the market mover for today, we would know why they say buy on rumor, sell on the news. There you have it. Dangote Cement went up about almost 10%, 9.99%, and closed at 592 naira 60 kobo. And this is based on the news that Mr. Femi Otedola has bought into this company. So that man is moving the market at this time. Others did go down, like, for instance, our most favorite, the most liquid counter. We're talking about the sectors right now, like the banking. Banking was down today, almost 1%, 0.90%, but it didn't move the market. Consumer goods was also down. Just oil and gas made it up. You know, they have also, since the news of those who would be patronizing Dangote refinery came up, we've seen oil and gas on the move, also 0.55% at the close of trade today. So we begin the week on a bright note. In fact, it's been a bright 2024, and the bull is still in charge.
Thank you, Ini. Now let's check out the closing numbers for other major equities. And that's a wrap on Business News. It's back to Ayo for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you so much, Will. Coming up next on the news at 10, Cameroon launches a vaccine program against malaria, becoming the first country in the world to do so. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated a grand temple to Hindu god Ram in the flashpoint holy city of Ayodhya on a set believed to be the deity's birthplace. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated a grand temple to Hindu god Ram in the flashpoint city of Ayodhya. But some Hindu seers and most of the opposition boycotted it, saying Mr. Modi was using it for political gains. General elections are due in India in the next few months, and Mr. Modi's political rivals say the governing Bharatiya Janata Party will be seeking votes in the temple's name in a country where 80% of the population is Hindu. More than 25,000 people have now been killed in Gaza during Israel's offensive there. That's according to the Hamas-run health ministry. It said there had been 178 deaths in the last 24 hours alone, making it one of the deadliest days in the war so far. As fighting continued, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu again rejected creating a Palestinian state. The White House has said the US and Israel clearly see things differently when it comes to a two-state solution. Israel began its offensive following the 7th of October attacks, in which Hamas fighters killed 1,300 people in southern Israel and took more than 240 hostage. The US military says 2 US Navy SEALs who went missing during an operation to seize Iranian-made weapons bound for Houthis in Yemen are now presumed dead. The incident took place on the 11th of January when commandos were boarding a ship off the coast of Somalia. According to media reports, one was swept away and the second jumped in after them following protocol. US Central Command said attempts are now being made to recover the bodies. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and endorsed Donald Trump. He quit ahead of the Republican primary election in New Hampshire, where he was polling in the single digits. Mr. DeSantis was once considered a strong contender for the party's nomination, but on Sunday he said he did not have a clear path to victory. Nikki Haley, Mr. Trump's last remaining challenger, said she was the only one able to beat U.S. President Joe Biden. Ms. Haley will go head-to-head with Mr. Trump in New Hampshire on Tuesday, the second in a series of state-by-state contests to pick a Republican nominee for the November general election.
It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge.
At least 8 people have died and dozens are still missing after a landslide struck China's southwestern province in Yunnan. The landslide in Jiaotong City happened at 5:51 local time on Monday morning, trapping 47 people. President Xi Jinping has ordered an all-out rescue in the area, which is experiencing sub-zero temperatures. The cause of the landslide remains unclear, but the remote mountainous region is prone to landslides. Checks are being carried out on a second Boeing aircraft model following the blowout of an unused door on one of its planes earlier this month. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration grounded more than 170 of the 737 MAX 9 fleet after a cabin panel broke away thousands of feet above the ground. The agency said airlines should also inspect older 737-900ER models, which use the same door design. The FAA described the move as an added layer of safety. And Storm Isha has brought heavy rain and strong winds to the UK, causing travel disruption and leaving tens of thousands of people without electricity. Storm Isha hit parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England and Scotland, which have seen the strongest winds in 10 to 20 years, with gusts of up to 99 miles per hour recorded in Northumberland. Conditions have been particularly treacherous on the coasts. An amber weather warning has been in place for up to 15 hours, and there have been some lucky escapes. A motorist leaving this car seconds before this tree fell on it. Dozens of flights have been redirected too, many landing in other foreign countries. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles of Nigeria are through to the round of 16 at the 2023 African Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire in what was the 3-time African champions' 100th match in the history of the AFCON. A first-half goal or own goal by Sangati gave Nigeria a 1-0 win over Guinea-Bissau. Sangati emphatically turned a Moses Simon cross into his own net in the 36th minute after feeling compelled to intervene with Victor Osimhen lurking behind him. The result means the Super Eagles qualify in second place in Group A with 7 points behind Equatorial Guinea. Jose Pesero's team will now stay in Abidjan for our last 16 tie on Saturday at the Felix Ofe-Boigny Stadium against the runners-up in Group C, which will be Senegal, Guinea, or Cameroon. Meanwhile, host Côte d'Ivoire slipped to the brink of a humiliating exit from the African Cup of Nations as the Elephants suffered a 4-0 thrashing by Equatorial Guinea in the final Group A game in Abidjan. The 2-time champions will have to endure a nervy wait to find out if they will go through to the last 16 as one of the 4 best third-place sides. And that's it on sports. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Chris. And the main news again. A federal high court today declared illegal Rivers State 2024 budget passed by 4 members of the State House of Assembly and signed into law by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. This came as another federal high court judge in Abuja ordered parties in the crisis to maintain status quo. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.